Good morning. There we go. So first session of the day, and somebody already ripped off, I think, 2 microphones. So we have no clicker, no lavalier, so you're going to have to be patient with me. And I'm also got a nasty cold I caught from my kids. But thanks for joining us today. I know that there's 3 other very compelling sessions, and you either wisely or unwisely chose this one. So thanks for joining. Hopefully, this will be a worthwhile investment of your time. What we're going to chat about today is what we've been talking to a lot of CMOs and agency CEOs about over the last 12 months, and it's really about customer centricity. It's about leveraging the power of the customer to reinvent marketing, reinvent branding, reinvent advertising, and reinvent go-to-market. You're not just going to hear from me. We have a couple videos from some of our more strategic clients who have embraced this concept of one-to-one customer centricity along the way. And one of the CEOs you're going to hear about is actually just switched jerseys in the last 24 hours and made the switch to Apple. So you'll have to forgive me because this is in her old role as CEO of Burberry. If there's something you want to add along the way, feel free to raise your hand. I know a lot of you in this room are smarter than I am about marketing and digital advertising. So if there's a point you want to make or something you're seeing in your customer journey along the way, I'd love to hear it. We don't have to wait till the end for Q&A. A little bit about myself. I'm locally based here in Boston. I am currently Global Vice President of Agency Sales for Salesforce. As you know, we've been making some huge acquisitions in the marketing area over the last 18 months. ExactTarget, Buddy Media, Radian6, Social.com. So it's the next wave of generation for Salesforce. And really what you'll hear today is how we've learned to shift and pivot from really a CRM and a cloud-based computing enterprise company into a marketing company. Like most publicly traded companies, our lawyers asked me to put this slide first. This is our safe harbor slide. For those of you in publicly traded companies, you'll be familiar with this. It's exciting reading for sure, but really the takeaway is, any investment you may make in the company, either from a product perspective or from a stock perspective, should be based on what we have today and not what we have in the future. So now that we have the lawyers out of the way, on to a much better topic, at least for me. These are my kids, Brigitte and Ethan. And this is a photo I took the Tower Bridge in London on a rare time that I actually went to London to see some sights and not just to run around at agency meetings, left, right, and center. And it was an interesting experience for me for a couple of reasons. One is, if you have children yourself, you know that 90% of the time you spend with them is trying to get them to do specific tasks, eat your dinner, brush your teeth, go to bed, do your homework, go to soccer, go to gymnastics. And so this was a pretty awesome experience. It was kind of the first time I was just a fellow tourist with them. I was not yelling at them about anything, and we were just kind of experiencing Europe. And the interesting thing for me was when I realized, kind of as a marketer, how different it is going to be to market to these kids than it is for myself or my parents' generation. Spending 2 weeks with them in Europe, they don't read newspapers, they don't read email. In fact, if I send my daughter an email, it takes 2 to 3 weeks, for her to get back to me. Text, 10 seconds, right? Even the laptop, something that I'm on 7 days a week, including weekends. For them, laptops are something that they do their homework on. They have one at school and they have one in their school home office, and that's it. They don't consume content on it. It's a work device. So you think about how these kids are growing up, and as marketers, we've gone through so much over the last 5 to 10 years just to keep up with all these emerging channels and devices. And now we have a whole generation of consumers who are growing up that don't even consume all the stuff we've spent time and money on. When I think about Salesforce dropping $2+ billion on ExactTarget, the leader in email marketing, how applicable will that be in 15 to 20 years to 8 and 10-year-olds? So this concept I want to embrace today about one-to-one, we've got to get out of the mindset of like one-to-one advertising, like the dynamically created ads or specific landing pages or specified content. The one-to-one marketing that we're talking about at Salesforce and we're talking about with our customers is really embracing the consumer in everything, both positive and negative, that means. And so really the challenge that we have is, hey, become a customer company. Put your customer first. Whether you're in e-tail, whether you're in travel, whether you're in B2B or B2B2C, this whole concept of customer centricity, we're arguing, can be applicable to everything that you do. So there's a few trends that I think have precipitated this. I mean, if you think about being in marketing or being in digital marketing today, it's a heck of a lot different than it was 5 to 10 years ago. Do you remember you used to come to these conferences and everyone would say, well, the CMO, they're in their job for 18 months, they don't get it, the old guard's dying, these new kids are coming up, and it kind of made, like, why did I go into this career? Like, marketing's supposed to be cool. It's supposed to, like, hang out in the French Riviera and win awards, and now, like, I'm gonna be in my job for a year? Like, this kind of sucks, right? But we're sort of over that. Like, we're in, like, the next generation or the next phase of marketing, and it's actually pretty cool. For one thing, those guys in the back office, the IT guys that used to squash all of our projects, we've sort of like won that battle, right? I mean, this is we've bantered this one around a lot, but you've seen it, and it's pretty meaningful. Like, we now have more access to technology budget, or soon will be in the next 18 months, than the CIO had. So that guy and his team in the basement that told us we couldn't launch an app, we couldn't launch a new website, we couldn't get the page tag on the site before Black Friday, well, we have that power now. That's one of the trends that's formulating this ability to become more of a customer-centric enterprise. Another one which, for those of us that are battling in the trenches of digital marketing for the last, umpteen years, digital marketing has finally made it to the big kids table, right? We're no longer at like the little plastic table out in the porch. We have CEOs now trying to understand, trying to leverage this. I remember back in 1999, I got on a plane here in Logan. I flew out to Cincinnati, one of the big CPG companies out there, and I had a meeting with my team with a billion-dollar-plus CPG brand. We had this awesome, I thought it was awesome, presentation about how display advertising and affiliate marketing and search marketing and SEO was going to completely change these guys' business. About halfway into it, the brand manager stopped and said, look, this is interesting, but my products are sold in stores. All I care about is point of sale offers, coupons, and how much shelf space I can negotiate at Walmart. Come back in a couple of years. Well, this brand, it will remain anonymous, now spends more on Google AdWords in a month than probably a lot of our collective digital marketing budgets globally. So we finally say, all these, like those of you out there that have been preaching along with me for years that this is like happening, well, it's here, right? And the biggest shift, I think, for us is that, this is a study that IBM did, kind of looking at the enterprise and what the strategic initiatives are over the next couple of years. And the interesting thing is, 88% of CEOs are saying that getting closer to the customer is a strategic initiative. It's important. Think about that. We spent 20 years trying to get customers like to not talk to us, like the automated, dial-in phone system, email response, we'll get back to you next week. We really spent a lot of money getting rid of the customer, right? Go away. Now we're saying, boy, like that's a strategic initiative. A lot of people can fly airplanes. A lot of people can sell consumer electronic goods. A lot of folks can do a lot of things, drill an oil well. But it's really the customer's the lifeblood of our company. And it's these sort of three shifts that are happening make it kind of really a fun time to be in marketing, right? So we finally have the budget. We have the power. We have the CEO's mind share that all these folks that we've been trying to target over the last years are actually not only important, they're our strategic initiative. This is how we're going to win. And you think of brands that have huge customer advocates, whether it's Apple, whether it's JetBlue, whether, think of all those customers, all those brands who have earned that customer advocacy. That ultimately is the edge that they have. It's not because their tablets work better or because their planes fly faster, right? So finally, after sort of being like, why did I get into this world? Being a CMO is pretty awesome today. And I think we have a short window because in 5 years, it's going to be something else that, we'll be focused on. So I think the time to seize the opportunity is now. So let's talk about a couple of trends, I think, how we got here, right? So first of all, to play in e-business or to play in the enterprise, you needed access to huge budgets, right? You needed servers, you needed software, you needed those like database administrators that wouldn't talk to you in the basement. And so just to play in the game, just to set up a sock puppet website like 15 years ago, you needed 10 million in VC money or a really rich uncle to go do it. Well, along came cloud computing, and now it democratized access to technology. Anyone with a $19 a month Amazon account, anyone with an eBay account, anyone with access to any of these technologies can now compete, and many of them competed much better than the enterprise did, and that's why we saw so many disruptive brands and companies coming through. So now access to technology is about as close to free as you can get. Then came what probably is the biggest revolution in marketing, which was the rise of social networks. And why? It wasn't just because it was a new tactic you had to go figure out. It was because us as marketers, consumers finally had the chance to call BS on our false claims, right? So the bridge between authenticity and the message that we had as marketers had to get really tight, because now you had 1, 2, 3, 4 billion now folks access to social networks that can cascade your untruths, or they can amplify your brand attributes. And you had a whole new network of folks to validate, hey, have you stayed at this resort? Have you flown this? Do you have this automobile, right? So it's completely changed the way the consumers validate it, both to the positive and both to the negative. Then the third bit of it is mobile, right? Some of this concept of like, hey, I'm online. I haven't been online all day. I'm going to get online later. Oh, my online connection's down. Well, we're online all the time, obviously. And so the access to our information that we have is more rapid. But more importantly, the rise of mobile computing has created really a brand extension of who we are. It's no longer just a device we have access to the internet. It has become how we live our life, right? So what I've done for you here is, this is actually my phone. I took this screenshot yesterday in preparing this, and so it tells a lot about kind of who I am, right? And why we're doing this, if you want to take a photo of yours and hashtag, tweet it and hashtag dashboard to your life. That's kind of how we talk about it at Salesforce. This is dashboard to my life. What do I mean by that? Well, my phone's got about 800 pictures of my kids. It's got 1,400 songs that are probably different than the 1,400 songs in yours. It's got, you can tell a lot about me. I'm a heavy traveler. I do casual gaming. I'm a Sarah Silverman fan. I'm a Doctor Who fan. You can tell a lot about who I am. When this phone came out of the box, when I got it 6 months ago, looked a lot like your phone. Maybe the SIM card was different, right? Right now, this phone is completely different than anyone's in this room, right? From all the files I have on it to the apps that I amplify every day. And if you kind of think about the 5 billion smartphones out there, they really represent 5 billion individuals, right? So we should stop thinking of them as like things to target, like iOS versus Android, or like, what's a download speed? Think of them as a collection of brand attributes tied to an individual. And if you guys will learn a lot, if I just pass my phone around, you'll learn even more about me as you peruse my pictures, see where I like to vacation, where I eat, kind of music I listen to, and all that kind of stuff. So I'd love to see some of yours. If you guys want to do it now or later, just tweet it, and I'll search this later, and we'll have some fun with it. But this is really the concept of mobility that we were talking about. It's less about device creation and device targeting. It's more about trying to leverage these unique brand assets. So what does this mean? It's back to the technology layer, right? So what we're talking to customers about is linking all these disparate sort of communication points together. I think the last 15 years of digital, what we've tried to do is get really good at an individual tactic, right? So I spent some time in ad agencies, running an ad agency. Many of you agency folks from the room. You had your media team, and they were really good at like buying display. You had your search team, which sat in the basement for a number of years, and they finally got a seat at the big kids table. Then you had your kind of app development. And so even marketing, up to this point, it's really been very like tactic specific, right? I got my email guys. I got to figure out social now. What's the next trend? And it's important to be best in breed of execution, but really what's important as marketers, less than IT, is we need a way to aggregate all these touch points so we can get a better view of those 5 billion unique individuals that comprise this one-to-one concept, right? So technology is going to be a bigger and bigger part of this, not just how we disseminate and distribute content, but how we make sense of it, how we take action, how we can link together all of those different touch points that make the individual. Because you look at this, so we treat all these as very separate tactics today from a marketing function. But we all use them, right? I use email. My kids don't, but I do. I use Twitter. I use Facebook. And every time I engage in one of those networks, a savvy marketer who's listening at the right time, the right moment, is learning a little bit more about me, right? So I'm going to walk through the first of our kind of 3 videos I'm going to share with you today of a company that kind of really gets this concept, and it's probably a reason why she just got poached away to go work at Apple. So let's take a look at this customer video from Burberry.
We're challenging ourselves constantly to stay ahead of the curve. Be it mobile, be it social, be it physical, they're all one. Life is forever blurred. I grew up in a physical world, and I speak English. The next generation is growing up in a digital world, and they speak social. Whether you're talking with customers or you're talking with employees, you have to do it on a social platform because that's the language they speak. You know, we were one of the first to customize the chatter platform. We called it Burberry Chat. I will tell you, Christopher and I chat to the entire organization once, twice a week. It gives every associate a platform also to talk back to Christopher and I. Most importantly, it has been the greatest uniter of the culture of any platform we've ever put in place. Now that we've worked with Salesforce and we've got this amazing platform in place, what we're starting to do now is really shift it over to the customer experience. Wherever the customer is, as soon as they say something about the Burberry brand, we should be able to hear it. So if you tweet something positive or negative, our teams around the world can pick up on that and can start having dialogue with you in real time. If you're online, you can click to call, you can click to chat. Within 20 seconds, somebody will be in contact with you. That's the ultimate in customer service. That's how we use Buddy Media, Radiant 6, some of the new platforms that Salesforce has been focusing on. I think what fascinates me as I travel around the world is all of the high growth markets around the world are already mobile first. This enables everyone to be so much smarter about everything. Everything we're doing, it has to come through here first. You know, we had a runway show in London. It was a mobile first show. Anyone in the world could feel as if they had a front row seat and experience everything firsthand, and some things even before it went down the runway. This is the entry into the brand. How do we evolve that retail experience to be just as rich and just as exciting as that experience? We've opened up what we call the store of the future. And we've got a real loyal brand following. So when they walk into the store and they opt in, the fun really begins. You'll actually feel like you're walking into the website. We'll know what is in their basket online that they've saved, that they loved, or they've shared with their Facebook fans. The sales associate will be able to service them so much quicker. We've got a lot of chip-enabled products. They put on a trench coat, they stand in front of the mirror, they'll see where that coat was made and the craftsmanship. And we've got these magical trays, so they take this iconic handbag and video content comes to life, showing them how that bag was made. It's the first time that a company is blurring the lines between physical and digital. Society is moving so fast. This is how customers live. They wake up with a device in their hand and life begins. And the onus is on us to change everything we do to keep pace with as fast as society is moving. I think Salesforce understands today that it's customer first. They speak social, and everything's coming through this device. That's why I'm very confident that Salesforce is going to be a big part of helping us achieve our vision as we rapidly move forward into the next decade.
So not surprising why she just got poached away to go run Apple retail stores, is it? Can you imagine, that mindset, bringing that to Apple stores, which are already, in my mind, a pretty killer retail experience. But it's interesting, right? I mean, it's a sort of a staid fashion brand thinking so forward around the customer experience, like the concept of blurring the virtual and the physical worlds. That's really part and parcel of this whole customer centricity, because the digital persona that we carry with us and live with us every day is, for better or for worse, part of who we are, and it's increasingly part of who my children are and their kids. So it's interesting. So this is sort of the first piece of it, which is making sure that the voice that you propagate out to the marketplace, the channels by which you reach customers, have sort of a consistency in theme, have a consistency in service, but that's just the first, that's like inning one, right? This is just connecting all these devices and all these channels into one. The next sort of wave of this is what we're calling the Internet of Things, right? So if you think about the internet up to this point, it's been basically a way for people to connect to other people, whether it's through instant messenger, whether it's through email, whether it's through a website, downloading pixels onto a customer's laptop. The next generation, really exciting one, is connecting people to things, okay? And those things can be, we've seen the first generation with the connected products like Fitbits and Fuel Bands, and these sort of products, we're marketing them as products because they are connected, and that's sort of the novelty of them, and it's fun, and we sort of see how pervasive they're being used across Facebook. When you see that, you decide to sleep in late and your friend jogged 5 miles, great. But what we're starting to see is other industries, even more staid than fashion, like banking, right? So I don't know how many of you have college students, but a lot of banks now have a college student fee-free checking account that has one stipulation. You can't step foot into a branch, and if you do, they'll charge you $5. Like, that's amazing to me. When I think about it, I opened my first bank account, I had a paper route 1,000 years ago. That's all there was the physical bank, and you had a relationship with the tellers, and you got the lollipop and the toaster. Now they're saying, hey, you'll save money if you avoid coming into my bank, period. And you know what? The next generation of consumers, I find it somewhat off-putting, but 18-year-olds don't. They're like, I don't want to go to a bank. It's open like 7 hours a day. So sorry about this slide, connected sports teams. Clearly my marketing team is based in Indianapolis. Born and raised here, this should be a Patriots or a Red Sox thing. But, even sports teams, right? I mean, these follow the Red Sox. I mean, I get, when they win, when they win ALDS, I had a sort of a page post from them before I could. I just shared theirs with my friends, like, hey, this is fun. I mean, we're seeing that everywhere. Burberry, certainly, we saw what they're doing with their concept of connected stores, and we're just in the first inning of that, right? I mean, if you think about it, as the devices themselves become more connected, the stores become more connected with our digital persona, it's going to be a pretty cool retail experience for a number of brands, a number of products, and a number of categories over the next few years. Of course, entertainment devices, the days of buying a video game console or a DVD and kind of watching it and as a static experience is gone, right? I mean, and I grew up playing, Atari and these sort of if I had lucky to have a friend over, I play one-on-one. Now, my son has access to people across the world to play games at, and we're just in the first inning of this. So you're probably saying to yourself, well, okay, I get it. Fitbit, and I get it. I'm in industry A, industry B. What we're seeing is every industry will have connected products within the next 5 years, right? Even the old toothbrush. Like, I'm looking forward to the day when I don't have to beg and bribe my kids to brush their teeth because I'll get an update on my phone and know that, they brushed once today for 8 seconds and there's no water on the brush. So I'm like, you know what, guys? The app don't lie, right? So if toothbrush companies are thinking about how to connect their products, you should be thinking really strong and hard about what does this concept of connectivity mean to your products, your brands, your consumers, and how should you be connecting them in a value-added way, not to connect them just because everyone else is connecting their products. I'm looking forward to the days of connected luggage. I travel a lot for my job. My job's global. I go to EMEA, I go to APAC, and for those trips, unfortunately, I can't have the carry-on. I lose my bag quite a bit, and I get it. I mean, I'm actually amazed at how many times airlines get my bag to the carousel, so I don't really get mad that I lose my bag. What I get really mad about is the experience that happens when I realize it's on the carousel to actually telling somebody I lost it and figuring out when I'm going to get it at home. I want to just be able to turn on my app. The app already knows the bag's in Chicago. I'm at Logan, and then I want Delta or American US Air to tell me when they're going to deliver it to me. It sounds ridiculous, but we're 12 to 18 months away from this stuff. And so we talk about one-to-one marketing. That's what we're talking about. We're taking your products into the fold, taking your customers into it, taking your supply chain, taking your distributors and suppliers into it. We're going to watch a video in just a second of a company who's doing an amazing job at this, really connecting every point in the value chain from manufacturer to distributor to OEM to customer. So this is Beth Comstock from General Electric talking about how they're taking this kind of concept of connectivity both to the employee level and to their product level. This is a pretty killer video. I think you'll enjoy it.
GE is a company that's all about making things that matter. We have this core belief that business is social. What I mean here is that social technology is going to change the way we do business. It's not just a consumer application, it's a business application. We had a goal 2 years ago that said we want to get our sales team 100% digitized. And the best thing for us was to go to Salesforce. It's been key for us to understand not only how do we connect our employees, but how do we connect our employees to our customers? And ultimately, what's very exciting for us is how do we connect customers, employees to our machines. In a company like GE, most of our customers have multiple GE businesses that work with them. And so you need all the touch points of the company to understand that customer. Wherever you are, you have the brains of the company, the brains of what's going on for the customer right at your fingertips. It's changing the way we work and the way our customers work. As we become more digitized, we're getting access to more data. We're seeing data from customers. We're also seeing data from our machines. I think the idea of connecting a machine to a social network is pretty exciting. What if my jet engine could talk to me, and what would it say? Chatter's turning out to be a nice tool in that, because what it does is it aggregates communities. In this case, a community of service reps. We can get our salespeople plugged in, and they were actually able to take some of the data feed from a GE/NX engine that was installed on the Dreamliner for Japan Airlines. In real time, the service teams of Japan Airlines and GE were able to look at the data and say, what are we seeing? What are we experiencing? And it's translated into real action that helps the business run better. Social and Salesforce help connect the dots of the company. They speed us up, they make us more approachable. If you're a business, you need social because it's going to get you closer to your customers. It's humanizing. The ability to query somebody real time and get feedback and to get people to help make what you do better, I mean, that's a marketer's dream.
I love that line where she says, what if my jet engine could talk and what would it say? I mean, that kind of culminates this whole concept sort of in a nutshell, right? Which is, not just connecting things because we can, but to add value, to make a safer product, to make a value-added product, one with better stickiness for the customer. And if you're thinking about this, if you're thinking about this concept of one-to-one, incorporating every part of your enterprise, from sales to service to marketing to finance to the C-level suite, you can really see how some of these concepts can be brought to life in truly business transformation ways. Okay, so I wanted to summarize real quick sort of some of the concepts of becoming a customer company. So we talked about being one-to-one, and again, the theme here is not one-to-one advertising, which I think we've kind of beaten to death in the digital realm over the last 10 years, but one-to-one is thinking about your customers, your prospects, your suppliers, your employees as unique individuals that need to be spoken to, marketed to, sold to, and retained in unique ways, right? For better or worse, the customer's getting a lot smarter, there's a lot more choices, they're a lot less patient with switching costs because switching almost any industry is, even airlines, right? Remember how we used to be beholden to a certain airline because, well, we're finally, Uber status. Well, now you just call up the competitor, say, I'm gonna switch, here's my card, now you're Uber status. You gotta earn these guys every time you sell a ticket, every time you book a hotel room, every time you sell a jet engine. So this whole concept of one-to-one marketing should include every stage of the value chain and every employee in your company. And then the whole concept of mobility. When I'm out talking to customers, I spend a lot of time in ad agencies in my job, the concept of mobility is like, hey, we'll build an app for that. Or we're gonna make sure the site renders in, an iOS 7. And I think that's not the right question to ask. That's not the right tactic. That's not the right takeaway from the concept of mobility. If we think back to the 5 billion smartphones being 5 billion unique identifiers, almost digital DNA of who we are, we need to think mobility first, and not just as a publishing perspective, and not just as a device that I carry around. I'm going to carry from here and back to my home in the suburbs of Boston later tonight. It's the fact that this collection of brand attributes there's a ton of data in there. There's a lot that we can leverage from it, and the more that we take action in a way that the customer has asked us to connect, when they've invited us in, they've shared something with us, to make sure we take that into our marketing efforts. This is one where, it still amazes me, the C-suite and their sort of take on social, right? So Yes, there's a lot of risk in social, there's a lot of noise in social, but there are still a lot of brands with their head in the sand saying, you know what, there's just too much noise, I can't get my head around it. Even if you're sort of in a customer service, back office support solution, there's a whole generation of consumers coming up that will never dial your 800 number. They will not chat with a live agent on your website. And they certainly won't go into your brick and mortar store to complain or get a refund. They'll tweet once. And if you don't respond within a reasonable time frame, that customer's gone forever, right? So you need to think about social as the way that the next generation of consumers conducts their lives, that the way they air their grievances, the way they cascade and amplify good things, from Red Sox winning to, hey, this product's killer, to I love my new Fitbit, right? And you need to be there, you need to listen. And the information you can pick up there shouldn't just be relegated to the marketing suite. We have some really cool case studies of where social data is being plugged into the product development team, it's being plugged into finance, it's being plugged into the C-suite. One of the things we do for customers, we set one up for Unilever in London, is we call them social command centers. And they look very cool. They're sort of like Mission Impossible, Star Wars, like big screens. It's a real-time influx of data, what customers are saying about products, about the brand, about competitors, synthesized in a way that even a CEO can understand, even a CFO can understand. And the more important thing for us to set them up, they look cool, but the C-suite's taking action on them. They're very actionable insights from social. If you're in the social marketing department of your brand or your organization or your agency, my advice would be to send less stuff over. Send one sheet. What is your learning for the week? What is the great takeaway from this week? Some of these reports, 10,000 tweets, trend lines. If you don't live and breathe this stuff, it can become intimidating, right? What we need to do is simplify social to dashboards and simple takeaways, so that the folks that we get our budget from, whether it's the CEO, the CFO, our CMO, or our clients, if we're service side, understand the value of this incredible power in front of us. Connectivity, right? It's to be always on every device and to be listening for it. The biggest mistake that we see is customers and prospects and even competitors are sharing so much valuable information that marketers can be leveraging, and it's just not being heard. So connectivity is a two-way street. So a lot of folks, when I talk about connectivity, say, well, yeah, I have I got a great email program, and I got, great display team, and I'm all over search, and I get this whole social ads business, spending a lot on Facebook, and connectivity is a two-way street. Make sure we have our ears open. We're taking action of that data that customers are sharing with us, whether it's in an app, whether it's on a website, whether it's out in the public domain on Twitter or Facebook. Another company, it's cloud-based, right? Let's go back to earlier in the talk. We talked about sort of, Goliath falling, of the days of having these big server farms and DBAs and, Black Friday. Remember the scramble for Black Friday? Oh my God, I got to put in 10 new servers because the customer's going to kill us. Let somebody else worry about that. Let Amazon worry about it. Let Salesforce worry about it. Let Google worry about it. These should not be business constraints anymore, right? We have all these enterprise companies that are beating each other up to be a leader in cloud computing. Take advantage of that, right? Take advantage of that and focus on what you do best, which is build great products, market great services, and hopefully be a really good customer advocate. So I'm going to leave you with one last video, which kind of sums it up, I think, pretty nicely.
For decades, the experts have been proclaiming the dawn of a new revolution, a world where customers are no longer at the mercy of corporations, where they don't have to suffer through bad service or broken products, long waits or endless phone trees, and where they have no real voice or no recourse. Until now, it's been a hollow proclamation. Welcome to the world of the ever-connected, always-on, highly opinionated, on-the-move customer. This is a customer who understands they now have power, and they know how to use it. They have expectations, and they have choices if those expectations aren't met. And boy, do they have choices. They also have a voice, and it is loud and far-reaching. To earn their loyalty goes way beyond a loyalty program. You need to earn their trust. Because make no mistake, this is a trust revolution. You need to recognize them as more than just numbers or accounts, but as unique human beings with a distinct set of needs. They now expect more than just a product or a service from you. They expect a relationship that is on equal terms. They give, you get, you give, they get. They expect to be at the center of your world, and you, my friends, need to put them there. You need to become a customer company. A customer company is available 24/7, and any place your customers happen to be. A customer company listens first to every customer on every channel. A customer company connects their customers, employees, partners, and products. Customer companies know the conversation never stops. They're grateful for your business and show it. They create communities and respect your identity, privacy, and money. Most importantly, a customer company knows you're the same person no matter how you contact them. They don't just create satisfied customers. They create evangelists. And when you become a customer company, you'll transform everything. You'll accelerate your growth from the inside out by giving your employees an enjoyable way to truly collaborate with each other. You'll close deals faster, together, gaining a real competitive advantage. You'll listen to customers and provide great service everywhere. Your data will always be up to date. Your people will always be at peak performance. You'll get to market first and arrive with confidence because you'll be backed up by real-time insights that let you know you're right. And in the cloud, innovation and scale is something you never have to worry about. That comes standard.
So hopefully that summarizes kind of what we're talking about. It's funny, while we're chatting, I was watching that video, I was looking at some of your dashboard to your life, and I encourage you to do it on the break or maybe on the walk to your next session, is to check it out. I think it really enhances this concept of, while there's maybe 5 to 10 different physical devices that we all are kind of using today, the way we use them and how quickly we adapt them really becomes a personal extension of our brand. You learn that Eric Webster, where's Eric? You're super organized. You have everything in like cool folders. Laura Marie, your dog's name? Ruby, super cute dog. So it's just funny. Check them out, and you'll kind of hopefully take home this sort of concept that when we talk about one-to-one marketing, it's really, these sort of attributes of the individuals in this room is what we're talking about, and less like the right targeted ad on the right website. I think the more we embrace that concept of customer centricity and customer connectivity, the more that I think we can leverage from our marketing efforts. So that's all I had today. My voice is about to go out because I got my kids cold. But well, listen, I really appreciate you joining me today. Hopefully it was a worthwhile investment of your time, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.